World family. Good afternoon to everybody. And I just want to take a little time to discuss something that I discussed earlier on my Facebook page. Um, and I just want to take it up here. And the discussion is about immigrants and something that I'm kind of tired of. And it began actually with Bobby Jindal talking about anchor babies. And he is apparently an anchor baby, but he has a problem with anchor babies. Okay. But that is not my issue. I understand that Bobby Jindal's a hypocrite. His name isn't even Bobby Jindal. I understand all of that. My problem, honestly, right now is with is with first and second generation immigrants who, you know, who are wholly ungrateful to African Americans in this country. Um, given that the rights that they enjoy in this country were bought with the blood of African Americans. It's always amazing to me when immigrants, and I don't even care what color the immigrant is. I don't care whether you are like Bobby Jindal, or I don't care whether you immigrated from Latin America. I don't care whether you immigrated from Mexico. I don't care whether you immigrated from Mozambique. I don't care whether you immigrated from Nigeria. It doesn't matter to me. This whole theme that we seem to have going sometimes, that immigrants are in any position to tell or to preach to or to lecture to African Americans about how we need to or should behave in this country. You know, the first thing that you need to say to African Americans when you reach this country for the first time, honestly, if I'm being honest, the first thing you should say to African Americans is thank you for what your ancestors have done to win me the rights to actually be here, to work here, to earn money in this country. The fact that you aren't being ran off a farm because white racists don't want you there. That's because of African Americans. The fact that you are viewed, at least in terms of what you can do in a courtroom, at least legally, you are viewed as a whole human being. That's because of African Americans. The fact that you aren't working on a farm, you aren't sharecropping, though you aren't limited to those choices of being a sharecropper or as being a maid. That was integration. That was a freedom struggle of who? African Americans. So what I am saying is that, whether it's Dinesh D'Souza, who is just an out and out racist, or whether it's Bobby Jindal, or whether I'm tired of hearing from people who say, well, my parents came here, my parents came here, in the 1930s, or my parents came here, in the 1940s, and they immigrated here. And my parents came here and made a life for themselves. Okay, if your parents immigrated here and made a life for themselves, and you are a person of color, you don't have anything to say to African Americans about what we should be doing. What you should be saying is, thank you. We really appreciate what you did. We really appreciate the fight that your people fought. And we really want to, learn more. We really want to understand more about this freedom struggle and how you guys did this. It would be great, if that kind of approach were taken, because really, really, you don't know enough to kind of make this kind of criticism, and you're living from rights fought, because black people in this country, African Americans, lost their lives fighting for. Who are you to tell us? Like, we should be teaching you. Who are you to tell us what to do and how to be? Now, I'm not saying that I'm anti-immigrant. I love my immigrant brothers and sisters. But there has to be some gratitude here. If you grew up in and even if you grew up if you grew up in Ghana or Nigeria, you didn't grow up. You had a very different situation than us. You didn't even grow up, for the most part, around. You didn't grow up in a majority white culture. You don't know what that's like until you get here. So for you to arrive here and think that you have some sort of aptitude all over a sudden to criticize or to judge African Americans is just very unfair. It's just extremely unfair. And it's always African Americans who everybody thinks they know how to be better African Americans. Everybody's like, well, if the black people would just do this, if black people would just do more of this. How do you know? Point to me 10 books that you've read from African American scholars about what it means to be black, about the freedom struggle in this country, what black people have done in this country, what we've contributed in this country, and then come to me, as opposed to basing your ideals on what you think based on whatever stereotypes you have, But so what I am saying is that there needs to be an appreciation for what black people have contributed historically and what black people have won in terms of rights in this country. That has to be part of this discussion. And you don't have a right to come and tell me, or to tell any other African American what we should be doing or how we should be behaving. You just got here. I don't care even if your parents were you don't have that. You don't have that lineage. You don't have that. Your framework is different. Your framework is very different. I am not now would I ever go anywhere. I'm not going. I would not go to Kenya. I would not go to India, and I'm not going to go there and tell you how to be a better Kenyan. I'm not going to go there and tell you, well, you should just be doing this. I don't know. That's not the struggle of my people. That's not the struggle of African Americans. That's the struggle of black people. There is a global struggle that we should all be a part of. There's a global struggle that we should all be allies in and we should all be friends in. But save me the judgment. Save me the judgment, especially if you haven't won the freedoms that we've won here. You know, some of you overthrew colonialism, but you know, the white people are the majority in this culture. You know, we have wonderful white people who went out and voted for Barack Obama and want things to be different, and we have a lot of racists who who run Fox News and all these other things. These are things that we deal with every day. These are things that black people know very well. We know how racism works in America. You maybe not. It depends on how long you've been here, but it depends on the history that you have here. So I think my problem is sort of these first, second generation immigrants, who want to preach to black people who've been here. There are a whole lot of black people in this country who can trace our lineage all the way back to slavery. If you can't do that, then how are you judging me and telling me how to be a better American? So I just want us to try at this point to be better allies. And better allies means appreciating the African American experience first before you say anything. Being thankful for the African American struggle in this country first before you say anything. That's what I want. And that's just something that I had to get off my chest today. So thank you, Breaking Brown family. I'm sure we'll discuss, and you all enjoy your day.